Welcome and hello, hello and welcome. Welcome and hello, hello and welcome. It is Poco, Moss, the show where we bring you just a little bit more, guys. Happy New Year. Hope you guys had a great one. Hope it was tons of fun, safe and sane. And if you're like me and you're just a grinder, you know, you're basically at the lower end of the food chain, the low rung of the ladder, the low man on the totem pole. You're going to be back to work tomorrow, grinding it out with your tiny wing. Perhaps you're a Walmart greeter. Perhaps you're an administrative assistant. Perhaps you work at Boston Sand and Gravel with Ben Affleck and the boys from the film The Town. Who knows, guys? But anyway, just want to wish you a happy New Year, happy 2026. But you know what I'm here to do. Pump a bunch of horrible stocks. So let's get to it, guys. It's Poco Moss. They call me Tabasco Rojas, of course. That is my Christian name, former Montreal Expos relief pitcher. Of course, they do call me Little Danny Cornbread DiCarlo. They call me Cornbread because I'm moist, I'm doughy, and I crumble under pressure. They call me Stock Karen. They call me Hurricane Lopez. They call me DJ Patchy Drizzle. They call me MC Al Dente. All those other voices in my head, guys. It's Poco Moss. Let's go. 2026. Hope you guys had a great one. Blah, blah, freaking blah. First thing I want to talk about is Neo. I know I've been talking a lot about this one, but Neo just absolutely, knocked it out of the park in December. And it's not just that they delivered over 48,000 cars, making their run rate, just huge increase. Not only year over year is massive, but quarter on quarter as well. What's really extraordinary about Neo, and I think makes them unique and gives them a huge moat, it's not just the battery swap. I mean, that's a huge component of it, but it's the fact that they're selling, the volume is coming in the ES8. So it's not like they're selling, a ton of the Firefly vehicles. Those sales are up too, but they're selling more and more units at the top end. They're dominating, these high end, high margin segments of the market. And I know there's a lot of competition there, and I know, BYD just released it. BYD SUVs are ugly. I mean, they have no cachet. The upper end of the social strata, if you will, does not want to buy those cars. Neo has like 1 or 2 days away from reaching, a couple days away from reaching 1 million cars sold. So Neo delivered a record number of vehicles in the final month of 2025. What's going on, Emilio? Happy New Year, buddy. Big pink monster to you. Happy New Year, Bobby Joe. Hey there. What's going on, guys? Welcome and hello. Hope everybody had a great one. It's Poco Moss, by the way. If you didn't know, you better ask somebody. So Neo delivered a record number of vehicles in the final month of 2025. And guys, I'm ADD from way back, and I can't concentrate for more than about 5 minutes on anything. So I'm just going to bounce around sort of to all the stocks I talk about. And somebody turned me on to SLS Therapeutics. I don't know what it is, SLS. So I took a look at the stock, just did a little cursory look at it. Actually looks pretty good. Now, the only thing I don't like about it's the fact it's run, lately. I'm going to take off this Happy New Year hat, guys. You guys get the idea. Because it's freaking annoying, and I want to show off my rapidly receding hairline as much as possible while I still can for the new year. Anyway, because it's going fast, guys. Pretty much it'll be right over the back of my head. You won't even be able to see it. I'll just be wearing my not a Lurker hat all the time. So anyway, the Chinese electric vehicle maker delivered 48,000 vehicles in December. This represents a 55% year-on-year increase and a 32% quarter-on-quarter increase. Now, they don't break down, I guess they do break down the deliveries. Neo, you can just see that's a huge, I don't know if I read this here or where I read it, but basically what's happening is the Envo deliveries, as a proportion are going down, and the Neo deliveries are going up. Now, really what's important to me from a swap perspective is that they're selling Neos and Envos, and that the swap is accelerating, and that the adoption of swap with, Neo's customers is just extraordinary. They swap on average, more than once a week. It's just swap is so, and that's why CATL is building out swap as fast as humanly possible. I mean, probably by the end of next year, CATL is going to have just as big as of a battery swap network as Neo. Now, whether it'll work as well, whether it'll be as streamlined, because they're going to have a bunch of brands on their network, which, I wish Neo had on theirs, but you just have to see how this all shakes out. Supposedly, their partners, obviously, CATL is going to, there was just a story the other day that they're going to be supplying a higher and higher percentage, probably become the exclusive supplier of batteries to Neo, because I basically see CATL as in they're just in a fight with BYD, basically, for, battery standard, battery supremacy, all this stuff. And Neo is kind of like, a stepping stone. And Neo is, they see the value in battery swap. They see the value in Neo power. I don't know if they see the value in Neo cars, but I think they see the demand and they realize, CATL, I think CATL really does see the long-term value in Neo. I could be wrong. They could just maybe want to pick our pockets. But the Neo brand achieved a record 32,000 deliveries in December, surpassing the 30,000 unit threshold for the first time. Represents a 55% year-on-year increase and a 73% rise from November. So that's pretty extraordinary. And the bottom line is they're just selling the hell out of the ES8. December 29, the third generation ES8 reached its 40,000th delivery just 100 days after the market launch, implying December deliveries were about 20,000 units. I mean, if you consider the fact that the analyst we were just reading the other day was talking about, he thought they could build between 160 and 180,000 ES8s in 2026, and the fact that they're already at a run rate of 20,000 implies they should be able to build, at least 500,000 units, if not more, or I mean 250,000, I'm sorry, if not more. But that you have to think that should accelerate from there. So I think it's realistic that they could build, 300,000 ES8s and sell at least 600,000 vehicles, especially if you're able to get Firefly on swap. I think that's going to be a huge deal because I think that's, the sort of rug pull, we're going to go with our own swap network. We're going to go with CATL's swap network, and then we're not going to have any swap network on this Firefly, but trust us, the swap is coming with the new generation of battery swaps. They also incidentally announced that they're going to shoot for 1,000 battery swap stations in 2026, which I think is good news because the rate of, it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't, because everybody wants them to slow down their capex so they can hit profitability. But, how can you slow down CapEx when your whole game is building out this battery swap network that's supposed to be sort of at a utility gas station level serving the... It's kind of a very difficult needle to thread, but I think Neo has done it beautifully because the last couple of years they built around 6 or 7, I think around 700 battery swap stations per year. But I think they see the writing on the wall that, this thing is for real. They're not going anywhere. As consolidation happens, a lot of the companies I think are going to go out of business. I mean, obviously the giants are going to be there, the state-owned giants that already have scale and moved from ICE into EV. And they're already selling millions and millions of cars. They're all going to be there now. What these new EV US listed, Lee is profitable. Xpeng and Neo are not yet profitable. Neo's deliveries have been accelerating a lot faster than Xpeng. So, I mean, you have to believe that Lee's going to stay in business. But I know William Lee, which is a little bit confusing because he's the CEO of Neo, was talking about, new electric vehicle penetration in China is going to be 90% by 2030. But I think a more interesting question is going to be, what percentage of those new electric vehicles are sort of the hybrids versus pure electrics? And I think if you start to cycle out of gas altogether, even with respect to hybrids, because with a mature battery swap network that Neo already has and CATL, hopes to have by the end of next year, the whole hybrid range extender, penis envy thing becomes a lot less relevant, in my opinion. But why do I think Neo is going to get a huge bounce? First of all, the stock has just been, I think, is one of the most manipulated stocks I've ever seen. I mean, you saw it was just at 750. This is like early November, and then they take it all the way down to 475. It goes from 750 to 475 in like less than a month. So, and this pump and dump looks just like it's giving me the middle finger here. But it's interesting because there was another sort of pump and dump a little bit over a year ago, but that only traded over the $5 mark for like just over a month. This time the stock is traded over the $5 mark. It's tried to consolidate here. You got to look for these stocks. They go through big drops or they just ride along the bottom like they're dragging the anchor. You start to see them consolidate. You start to see institutional accumulation. Hopefully you start to see the shorts go the other way. And if the short's not going the other way, maybe the borrowing is going the other way. Because although people say I'm an idiot and, maybe they have a point, I found that short interest options, all this stuff actually, if you sort of read it and you just use common sense and experience, you can see when these stocks consolidate, when you see compression, when you see accumulation, when you see what the institutions are doing, and more importantly, which institutions are doing what. The institutions that always make money, the institutions that rule the world, the Vanguards, the BlackRocks, these types of, and the geodes, the State Streets. There's a lot of, players out there, but obviously I tend to harp on Vanguard and BlackRock a lot. But Goldman is also very, very important. You have to watch Chase. You have to watch Bank of America. You have to watch all the mega banks. You have to watch the analyst houses. You have to watch what the analysts are saying, not because there's any validity in it or value to it, but just because you can tell sometimes which way they're trying to push you, and quite often, not always, you should go the other way. Now, if it's like one of these smaller stocks like NEO, say there's, I don't know, so just say for example, there's like 15 analysts covering the stock. There's probably like 5 of them that are doing any real work, and probably about 2 or 3 of them that are actually building models and, inputting data and doing like extremely detailed work with a team to arrive at their price targets, projections. And there's probably 10 of them that are just throwaways, just complete, trash, basically. They're just doing no work, just throwing things out there, trying to move the stock. Guys that are just trying to buy more hair gel and fancy shoes, to feed their Peruvian wham wham addiction. Tiny wing all-stars, I call them. Backseat boys. Shoe shine boys. Truck stop all-stars. What's going on, Bobby Joe? What's with the great Bobby Joe got to say? If you have time in the end, can you take a look at... sorry, guys. My eyes are going to shit. I can't see. I'm old. Oh, is that Go? 120% institutional ownership? That's not possible, Bobby Joe. Nobody can own 120% of a stock and 30% short. I see a disconnect between it and the sector, but I'm too smooth, brilliant, and confident to be confident in my research. Okay. Is that, what the hell's Go? I don't even know what that stock is. I'm a big idiot. But yeah, sure, why not? SJ77 in September, they hired Deloitte as their auditors. So do you reckon the delay is because they're preparing a thorough analysis of their wells production? Oh, so we're talking prop. Just a quick, I should probably read them in order so it makes a little bit more sense. Just a quick cue with prop. They have a RBL review every 6 months. The last update was June 9th, so the next update should have been around December 9th. But here we are in January and still no update. That's a good question. I'd have to research that and get back to you. I'm basically waiting for the ER on prop, and I basically told people start to look at the EBITDA. I think it won't be that many quarters before they can actually start to pay a dividend. I think they're going to avoid the worst end of this dilution. There's certainly going to be dilution, but I think it's going to be about half as bad as people expect. And I think this stock's about 4x undervalued. I've looked at the peers. I've looked at the valuation. It doesn't make any sense unless the dilution is the max, unless it's the absolute worst. They can't refinance anything. They can't buy anything out. And if that were the case, I don't think this consortium of banks would be so eager to, keep loaning them money. But I don't know this sector that well, but I'm just told keep loading here on prop. I wish I had a more authoritative answer for you in terms of why the update is late, but I don't. But I'll certainly research it and, let you know because, I can figure it out. I just got to have some time to take a look at it. But anyway, guys, on NEO, you could see what a critical pivot 5 has been coming all the way back here to, March of 2024 at least. Support. support through here, and then it turns to resistance. So basically, drops down. You can just see it for yourself, guys. This line is a very critical pivot, and then you know, you have to ask yourself, basically, this thing, you can see the price has just been fixed here, for some time. You saw the pump all the way to 580 the other day, and then it was just dumped back down. And then you talk about, Chinese government announcing new subsidies for the coming year, sales going through the roof. Basically, if you got a partner car on the swap network, this stock would absolutely catch fire, because I think the value proposition of their vehicles is just extraordinary. I mean, with the ES8, you're getting like what should be, a $70,000 vehicle, but because you can buy it, without the battery, you can get it, I think, for like 45. And with the Onvo, it's the same deal with the L90. I mean, you're getting a vehicle that feels like a $50,000 vehicle for, sorry, my voice popped. My testicles are finally descending after all these years. But you're getting a, feels like a $50,000 vehicle that you can get into for like 30. So, I mean, this is just a no-brainer for people. And that's not even talking about all the benefits of battery swap for the consumer, the environment, the state, the regulators, the testing, the recyclers. It eliminates the range anxiety. It eliminates the fear of trying to replace your battery for $20,000 if it wears out just outside of warranty. Basically alleviates almost every single objection to EV ownership that there is. That's why I'm very bullish NIO. Now, am I worried about CATL, scooping us on swap? Yes. Yes, I am. Worried about a lot of things with a lot of this company and everything else. But what I'm not worried about, guys, BlackRock, Vanguard accumulating, what I'm not worried about is the sleight of hand of companies like Goldman, putting a $1 price target on a stock while they're accumulating it. Interesting, anecdotal evidence. If you look on Fintel, one of the things I really like to watch is this fund sentiment score. It's an ownership accumulation score. So this finds the stocks that are being most bought by hedge funds. It's a result of a sophisticated multi-factor quantitative model that identifies companies with the highest levels of institutional accumulation. And this is updated every single day. So it's a lot more current indicator of what institutions are doing very, very recently than anything you could see in the filings, which are delayed by months from when the actual, buys and sells took place. So the scoring model uses a combination of the total increase in disclosed owners, the changes in portfolio allocations of zone owners, and other metrics. The number ranges between 0 and 100, with higher numbers indicating a higher level of accumulation to its peers, and 50 being the average. So NIO is at 96.55. That's 300 out of 31,850 different securities, stocks, everything they track. So this is in the top 1% of, fund sentiment score right now. Ignore that at your own peril. Now, if you look at the short, this is probably even more interesting. It's not the short itself, it's the shares on loan. If you remember this stock, they used to be short like 200 some million shares, but there would be like 460 million shares on loan. And you just knew any news, any catalyst, anything that was going to cause this stock to go higher, they were just going to throw a wet blanket over it. They were just going to, fart and then pull the comforter up, just hit you like that. Just basically take a sock, fill it full of pennies, and just beat you about the face, breast, head, neck, and chest, unmerciful. Like you were Saul Rosenberg or somebody. But ask somebody. I'll be up making breakfast with somebody anyway. Get those whistle tips. You guys Bub Rub fans? You guys chilling at the mansion? What's going on? What's going on, guys? Tell me something good. Tell me something good. Happy 2026, you bunch of broke tiny wing pikers. Thanks for watching. Tune Poco Moss, of course, the show where we give you just a little bit more every single day of the year. 24/7, 365, but especially here on January 1st. Anyway, guys, so if you look at NIO now, complete opposite has happened. So you have 168 million shares sold short, and you only have 62 million shares on loan. How does that work? Are they naked short all those shares? Are they short long all those shares? Probably some of each. Probably some is the data is wrong, waiting to catch up. The bottom line is, they're in over their heads, and they're not borrowing shares that look like the shorts are prepared to attack the stock from 5. What's more likely? They tested 8, they tested 750, triple topped it, took it all the way back down, like, 50% or something, 50% violent retracement. You see, then the price fixed at 5, keeps banging off the same low over and over again. I keep saying in my recent videos, why do institutions bang a stock off the low in a range over and over again and even drive it through down below the channel? I mean, do they keep banging it off that same level because they keep wanting to sell at the very low? Of course not. They want you to sell at that low, and they want to buy at that low. I mean, that's the only thing that really makes sense, to me. But anyway, yeah, I think NEO, I don't know what it's doing overnight at present. Looks like it's back up about 4%, but don't forget that it fell, 7% just the other day. I think the chart looks incredibly good. The fundamentals are lining up. They could actually make a profit, this quarter, at least on a non-GAAP basis, which would be huge because one of the big knocks on the stock is their cash burn, and they're going to need to keep diluting, and they need to keep raising money. Well, if they can get cash flow positive, get positive on a net profit basis anyway, I don't know if that would indicate, it's obviously not the same thing as cash flow positive, but I think a lot of things are coming together. They have a nice, capital light business model where they have government and other partnerships to build out battery swaps, and hopefully that will reaccelerate next year, especially with CATL just nipping at our heels, as it were. Let me go to a few comments, and we'll talk about some of these other stocks. I want to talk, of course, SOFI. I wanted to say something about the NEO chart, but I can't really remember what the hell it was. Let's see. Yeah, no, I talked enough about NEO. Blue in the face. Let's see. So, yeah, funds are accumulating NEO as fast as they can, under the radar as they can. They're getting out of the short. They're not looking like they're going to short it at all from here. They don't want to short the stock from 5. I mean, coming into net profit, you saw what happened. It can be a bit of a delayed fuse, but there's probably no bigger, unless you're like a biotech company hit a phase 3 or something, but just like a nuts and bolts, manufacturing company, bank company, lending, fintech, there's probably, no bigger, birthday or graduation as a company than when you actually become profitable. It's like your quince. So it's a huge moment. It's a huge step. You've become a man. You've had your first beer, all that stuff. SOFI is one of these ones where, again, why do they keep banging the stock off the same, low area? It looks like it's kind of running in a channel. The lows anywhere, you could say 25, but you could also see a lot of, sort of dips here where it ends more 26. Look at this area back here. All of these candles, let me zoom in a little bit so you guys can see this a little bit more better. But if you zoom in a little bit here, you can see this whole area. A lot of this was sort of bottoming out at 26. All these tails was in this really, really weird pattern that I've never seen before in my life. Which, doesn't mean you haven't. But the bottom line is, again, why do they keep banging it off the low in these channels? Is it really going to 20 like Kramer said? Is this stock really overvalued? I mean, is the CAGR of 17 for the next 5 years at all realistic, given that they're adding business banking? They're probably adding, 2 more products this year, probably be adding multiple products, rapid membership growth, still the deposit base. I think, honestly, making SOFI Plus not free is a great idea. I hate giving away free stuff to cheap people, and I think, that free SOFI Plus direct deposit was just bringing us in the groupon, poopon, discount hoppers, the BOGO people, the boho people. You know, they want to get that juicy 4 or 5% interest and give us nothing in return. These are the kind of, nerdy, tiny wing turds that pay off their full credit card balance every year, don't even give us any interest income. They're not taking a loan because they got a bunch of money in their savings. All we're doing is outflow. We got no inflow. And these turds, maybe they'll pay the $10 a month. We can finally squeeze some, blood from that stone. La pietra de la scarpa, as the kids say. So, again, do I think SoFi is tremendously undervalued here? No. Do I think it was crazy to buy the stock at 30? No. Do I think ultimately the stock is going much, much higher after it consolidates in this little price-fixing, tiny wing euphoria? Absolutely. This stock will break down its all-time highs, and sooner than later. And I'll do you one better than that. Hey, listen, the ER is now less than a month away. And everybody and their brother knows that the ER is going to be a home run. I mean, I think the good stuff from the last ER is going to accelerate. Noto always learns. I think SoFi's management are masters of analytics, masters of data. I think they're incorporating AI in intelligent ways without all the hype. I think SoFi is going to be doing, not just business banking, but I think they're going to be facilitating all kinds of things for other businesses to reach their customers, to reach SoFi's customers. SoFi's membership base is the moat. That's why they're so selective. That's why they took their foot off the gas. So they don't have bad loans now. Don't you see it? Don't you see the planning? Don't you see the conservative nature of management? Don't you see their long-term mindset? They know they can't afford a big setback. They know they can't take a big hit to their reputation. That's why they don't pump. That's why they don't chase. That's why they build value, durable competitive advantage, return on capital, windbreakers, great hair, older women in pantsuits asking softball questions at country clubs. That's what SoFi is about. Chamath taking tens of millions or however many hundreds of millions of dollars for doing absolutely nothing other than being a complete schmuck. Looking a little bit like a bearded Kermit the Frog. Or Fozzie Bear, I don't know. Anyway, these SPAC vultures, I don't know. We're still paying for that dilution. We will be forever. There's just too many goddamn shares, if you ask me. I know we can't buy back any shares. They're not even cash flow positive. I think the business really is cash flow positive. It's the nature of lending why the books say it's not cash flow positive and why they are still having to raise more money. But I think SoFi is better positioned than not only any other fintech, any other company to have, steady, consistent, rapid growth for the foreseeable future. I don't think it's like, they can grow for another 3 years, 5 years. I think if they stay on their toes, they stay nimble, they stay customer-oriented, they'll keep growing for decades to come, and they'll become that top 10 financial institution. They could become that trillion-dollar company that my biological father, Anthony Noto, thinks we could be. And I believe in it. I believe I can fly, guys. No, I can't fly. Can't even jump. Dude, my jump shot is more of a set shot with kind of an upward man boob flare. Gonna bounce the man boobs. Kind of looks like you might have jumped. Did he actually jump? I know he got on his toe when I saw his man boobs accelerate upward, so I assume he jumped. But there was no space between his foot and the court. So it's a set shot. No, it's a fat guy jumper. Fat guy jumper is just push off, give you a big buttus, knock you down over the baseline, just knock you down. Little set shot jumper. Then take a 5, take a little break at halftime for a quick chicken quesadilla. Know what I mean? Know what I mean? What's up, BS Lou? 1058. Is that BS? You're shooting us straight, Lou. You're shooting us straight. Captain Lou Albano. Let's see. Stay patient, stay focused. Real turnarounds are built step by step, not overnight. True words were never spoken. Sounds like a bit of a cliche. Shoot for the moon, and even if you miss, you're still above the stars. A message from your friend, B.S. Lou, 1058. What's Brian with a Y? Old Brian McLaughlin, 1048. Who the hell are you guys? We got B.S. Lou, 1058. We got Brian McLaughlin. What are you giving me all these numbers? What the hell? I think this is some affect of my computer. You guys didn't name yourselves all these names, did you? Everybody's got some number now. What the hell? Except Richard Vaughn Gittin Jr., drift champion in my world. What's going on, Richard? How you doing? Get you a new set of tires. Who the hell else is here? I'm going to go from the top just to make it spicy. What's up, SJ77? Happy New Year. Happy New Year, DSDS. We got DMY, TRO8, Boyko. Happy New Year. The Shart Master I am. Need a new pair of shorts, guys. Let's Poco. 2026. R Picazolable. Just quick with prop. Yeah, I'm gonna look into that one. SJ77. You can believe that. Bobby Joe. And yes, I will look at Go, probably try to remind me. I'm probably going to go on forever. I already have gone on forever. I'm a bit verbose, as you know. Brevity is the soul of wit, and I have neither a soul nor a wit nor a brevity, whatever that means. I've been told I'm a bit verbose. Chemical company LYB, is that Lyndon Blysell? Feel it's an easy 50% profit, say 4 to 6 months. Who the hell's LYB? That's Leiden Blissell. I don't know. I've lost money on that stock about 5 times. I hate that stock. But it might be a different company. But if it's that freaking company, I don't know. I know it's a good company. I know they make money, but I always time it wrong. I always just shart myself on that one. So I'm going to pass. What's up, Douglas Smith? Brian, I'm with you. It's my plan to hit SMCI hard. Might be buying it tomorrow. Yeah. Guys, SMCI, the valuation is just freaking ridiculous. I mean, where they track it, but it's a bit of a falling knife. You can see it trying to bounce. You can see, the bouncy house. But look at this low. I mean, you could see it bounced off this level, repeatedly back here. Here, this is December. This is after the run, the pump. It's only dropped down below this level in this past January, just very briefly, and you can see it recovered, quite quickly. So it's dropped down below once. I'd call that another test. 1 test, 2, 3, 4, 5, makes a pump and dump 6, 7, 8 times. It bounced off the line. This will be 9, and I would submit this will be 10. And it's just the downside here is, I think, just basically fear. I mean, the fact that they haven't hired the new CFO is one thing, but I think this CFO is a very clever guy, the Wigger. And I think, frankly, he might have been taking a lot of heat for a lot of shenanigans down in the sales department that weren't, frankly, his doing. But he's kind of the fall guy. He's going to fall on the sword. Let's see, I'm shopping for power tool batteries. You guys can see everything I'm shopping for based on the ads they serve me. Anyway. So what the hell was I talking about? Yeah, SMCI. I mean, you're talking about a market cap of $17.4 billion, and they're a profitable company. Their books are not a mess. Their customers like what they do. They have mega projects that I think are going to be reported on this upcoming ER. The market cap just doesn't make sense. And I know people will talk about margin pressure, but the company is investing heavily in the future. And I think they're going to be there and compete with HPE and with Dell. And I think they're going to compete, and I think they're going to win for a lot of these mega projects. Now, they might not, be able to compete on some of these, hand holder, vanity, tortoiseshell glasses, Italian loafer type of companies. But if you want an Elon Musk, a guy who cares about speed, about savings, about something that works, a guy who's willing to sleep on a dirty floor to get the job done, these are the kind of guys that are going to hire Uncle Chucky and Aunt Sarah, because they have a great product at a low cost, faster deployment, easier to service. Say, well, Dell has more, server density. Well, fuck you. Stop trying to rain on my parade. Trying to measure my wing with the metric system. Tell me it's imperial. Give me a complex. You're not even trying to push down into the gunt. Get that extra inch. Give me my inch. Give me some respect. Give me my propers. If you're going to measure a big man's wing, you got to know the procedure. Especially in the new year. New year, new law. It's like the French. Champagne has to come from the Champagne region. Bread can't have a bunch of sugar in it. If you're going to measure a fat guy's wing, you got to have the proper equipment. You got to get down to the pubic bone. You're going to rob me of anywhere from 2 to 3 inches. And if you're using the metric system, you're going to rob me of my dignity, for God's sake. Show's just a giant cry for help. Oh, it's Rune. He's ruining my show. No, Rune hates Neo. I love that. Let's see what he has to say. Let's see what the great Rune has to say. Another year of no returns on Neo. Dead money. There it is. Brilliant, Rune. Brilliant. No, could be right. It's certainly have been all... I mean, I don't know. I like the pump to 8. I mean, I did dump calls. I made some money up there. But I've lost it again on the fall. So, oh, I hate it when Rune's right. Little bastard. Anyway, good on you, Rune. Keep shorting this stock, you little tiny wing turd. I hope to get in below $30. Already up nearly 2% in pre-market trading. SMCI. I mean, okay. Last year's sales $22 billion. This year's sales, they're talking about 36 at the low end. Analysts are talking about $10 billion this year. 36 at the low end would imply they're going to sell over $10 billion, on average for the final 3 quarters. Because obviously the first quarter was a big, turd salad. Oh, this is a special project stock. It's the false volatility. All this stuff they're saying is just, crazy with the company's books and accounting. Where were all the restatements? Where's everybody going to jail? Why didn't the auditors force them to, report all these fictitious sales? And why didn't they get delisted? And it's because they were just sloppy. They were incompetent. There's a big difference between being incompetent and being, crooked. Okay, you could be a halfway crook. You could be a tiny bit crooked. And I think we all are, especially if you got Peronis. But realistically, the growth rate here is frankly insane. You're not only not paying them for the growth, you're penalizing them for the growth. It's like, could you imagine a company that's just selling, 5 billion, then 7 billion, then in 1 year they go from 7 billion to 14 billion, then the next year they go from, that 14, 15 area to 22, and they're growing the top line at 50% while remaining profitable, building campuses everywhere, cutting down endangered trees to build expensive wineries, boxing exactas, flipping off, the tired, the poor, the huddled masses, yearning to save trees, just giving them the big middle finger, Uncle Chucky style. Uncle Chucky don't give a fuck. Nor does Aunt Sarah. Nor does the Wigger. But I don't see why it's so hard for SMCI to hire a goddamn CFO. Pay somebody a decent salary. These guys pay like fucking Scrooge. Scrooge McDuck. Dude, Tiny Tim needs a new fucking wooden leg. Cough it up, asshole. Share the wealth. Bob Cratchit, Christmas Goose. Get her done. I don't know what I'm talking about, but bottom line is, it doesn't take a fucking year and a half to hire a CFO. Let's be honest. There's something going on here. Starts with a T, rhymes with tiny wing. Stands for pool. It's trouble right here in River City. Trouble, trouble. You bastards. Oh, I hate this fucking company, but I love it. I love it and I hate it because I love the pain. I love the losses. I love the paper losses. I love, watching the stock go down every day while I smash my testicles in a desk drawer. Spice of life, isn't it? What's up? Does anybody know what happened to Jason Joseph? Out of any viewer who's disappeared, probably the one that vexes me the most is Jason Joseph. Anyway, so anybody knows what happened to him, I'm going to put out an all points bulletin. Yeah, I'll stay patient. I've never been patient or focused in my life, BS Lou. Shut the fuck up. I already read your comment. No, I'm just kidding. E.T. Val. What's up, E.T. Val? Hi, man. How are you? Hello. Hello and welcome. Brian McLaughlin. I've been here before. Yeah, well, deja vu all over again. Groundhog Day. Yeah, big fucking deal. Sorry, guys. I'm just really hostile. It's because I'm fat. I have a bad back. I have a nice, manageable penis. Nothing to write home about. It's not easy being me. Be easier if I was green. I was a fucking frog. Nothing to worry about. A central nervous system. I got a central nervous system. I got bills to pay. LAX Coach O. SoFi just never has done anything quickly. Hard to think it will run a lot quickly, but it is, well, okay, quickly is one thing. It moved from 7 or 8 up to, into the 20s very, very quickly. That was a big, quick run. So, if you've been in the stock a long time, it sort of seemed like a glacier there, just dragging along the bottom, just crushing your, testicles into a fine almond flour. They're making carb stuff out of weird stuff. Almond flour, just ground up, sawdust. There's no calories in this tortilla. It's made out of sawdust. I feel sick. Everyone keeps talking about, let's see, I think there will be a lot of demand for SMCI. Yeah, their liquid cooling is excellent. It's easily serviceable. All these turds have liquid or hybrid cooling, but SMCI, I think, it's cost effective. It's a very broad market. You don't necessarily have to have the very top end of every, boutique niche project where a guy's just trying to compensate for a tiny wang with his rich parents, his trust fund and his, whatever, his lifted pickup truck. You guys running offsets? What kind of rig you running? If you're ever approaching a truck stop restroom and a burly trucker with a gleam in his eye asks you what kind of rig you're running, just get out of there. Know what I mean? Know what I mean? Think you do. Load up on SMCI to the pubic bone. I'm with you, but how do you measure that? How do you measure it if you got a big layer of fat in the way? Can you estimate? You can't estimate. You drive that yardstick down with a sledgehammer. You get a brief millisecond where you take the measurement. It's like when they throw the javelin. Whenever I'm measuring my weighing, I got those two guys who judge the javelin. They're in like a little suit. I think I saw a video once where one of those guys actually got hit by a javelin. He tried to be like real cute and get like right in the vicinity where it was going to land, and it just fucked him up. What about those lawn darts? I remember when I was a kid, they finally banned lawn darts because kids were just getting maimed and killed. You're giving small children, you guys who are fucking old, like me, will remember these. It's a big, heavy metal dart with a sharp point that sticks in the ground, and it's got these fins. It's big, heavy. The thing weighs like a pound. And they're giving these to children to just throw. And you throw them up in the air, and it comes down, it lands on your fucking head, it cracks your skull open. But this was like the 70s and the 80s. You could just kill kids. And you're like, you didn't kill that many kids. Yeah, but we killed a few. You didn't have Judge Judy up your ass. Or that Maryland lady. It's like arroz con pollo. ¿Qué es más macho? Are you guys even fucking real judges? I got a bone to pick with TV judges. Judge Wapner, Rusty Burrell. May they rest in peace. I assume they're dead. They were old as fuck when I was a little kid. If they're alive, I don't even know what's going on with modern medicine. It's incredible. If Judge Wapner is alive, let's see if we can get him on Poco Moss. He's a fair man. I like that other guy, like, busted in Providence. It's like an old great-grandfather, but he's just doing, like, traffic court. What are you doing, sir? You taking your son to the doctor? He's like, yeah. How old are you, sir? He's like, I'm 93 years old. My son has cancer. I'm taking him to the oncologist. I don't know, I'm on a one-way street. I go here, I go there. What the fuck? I'm 93. Fuck. He's like, you're 93 years old, sir. You're serving the military? Yeah, I serve in the military. You're taking care of your son. You're still taking care of him. You're 93. He's like, I'm going to dismiss these charges. Like, thank you, Your Honor. He's like, okay, and you are a fat, middle-aged guy from Los Angeles. You accidentally left your blinker on. Instead of putting your blinker on 400 feet before the intersection, I'm told you put your blinker on 395 feet before the intersection. Is that true, Danny? Yes, sir, Judge, that is true. Now, I'm told you like penny stocks. Are you a fool? What is it, sir? Like throwing your money away? You can throw a little more money away because you're guilty. The normal fine for this infraction would be $95. I'm going to give you 5 years in prison. Thank you, sir. No. I had a good experience with the judge. I think I deserved the time. Gave him some time to reflect. Anyway, I like that show. Busted in Providence. Kind of wasn't the point of the show. It was supposed to be a New Year's show about stocks, but all I can say with SMCI is the valuation is absurd. If they can sell like $11 billion this quarter, and the quarter's already over, so, you know, they know what they did. But analysts like Zacks was up to like $10 billion. I remember recently analysts were saying 7.75, 7.5, even 7. And I think they have one mega project that they're going to be able to recognize so much revenue, it's just going to fucking wake the dead. Your tiny wing's going to stand at attention with these numbers. Type of number is going to have you going 6 to midnight. Not that anybody would notice. All right. So I don't know if we actually covered SMCI. I don't know what we did. I don't know what we didn't do. I'm kind of curious what the actual short interest is on SMCI. I don't have it in here. Guys, buy Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin is just, it's a classic example. They took the thing down, huge retracement, still a higher low than previously, still making higher highs, still in a 3-year, very, very clear uptrend. I look for a stock, shorter term downtrend, long-term uptrend, coming to the base, basing, consolidating, compression. I don't know. Somebody was using that word compression. I just liked it. It makes me sound smarter. But consolidating, compressing, range bound. You see it bouncing 90. It tried to come to 100 once, but you're basically bouncing from 85 to 90. You know, they're getting the OGs out. They're, hey, this out. Why do people think Bitcoin's going to be worthless? Why do they think it's going to go down? Is it because, previously on the run it retraced from, 66,000 to, 16,000? Is it because it was at 8,000? Is that what you're afraid of? Are you afraid of losing all your money? Are you afraid of speculating on a worthless asset? You're afraid you're not going to be able to pay the mortgage? And your wife's going to realize you're a worthless piece of shit. She's been carrying you with her teaching job. You're telling yourself it's just so she can get health insurance. But realistically, you're blowing your entire income on hookers, cocaine, horse races, Texas Hold'em tournaments, all that type of thing. Just the essentials. Just the essentials. What the hell was I going to do? Oh, yeah, check the short interest. Sorry. My mind, it wanders. So with the short, yeah, it's holding pretty steady, 17%. Now the shares on loan are a bit above the short interest, but it doesn't look like they're going to attack. Let me just pull this out to 18 months just so I can see that dipsy-do. Yeah, the short interest back before the whole shit hit the fan scenario was like 8%. And then it topped out around, like 25, 23, 25. Then it's back down to 17, 20. Oh, I wonder which Wapner. Yeah. I think the stock is lining up to make a huge move up off these levels. I think you're coming into ERs like say SOFI. I think SOFI they expect the ER to be absolutely great, and I think. But I always say with SOFI, if you control the starting line, you control the finish line. Because say an ER is so great that a stock's going to move up, 12%, or if you're SOFI, like, you know, it looks like it's going to move up 4%, then they bring it all the way back to 0.9%. Then after hours, they take that away. It goes slightly red, and you're basically going home for a dry jerk with your tears and a ramen noodle, a little pot noodle and a dry jerk. That's what your evening's looking like. So, be that as it may, I kind of forgot what I was talking about. I think I was going to look at the chart, but it didn't really look much fun. Anyway, yeah, so the short interest, I don't think it tells us that much. It's not changing all that much, but I don't know. I think if the ER is great, and like I think some of these shorts are thinking, okay, they're going to sell 8 billion tops. What if they sell 12 billion? What if they recognize one project that's like 10 billion or something? I know that probably won't happen, or 5. But what if they know, okay, that we have, the 7 billion in sales we were going to have, and then they got a $5 billion hit. They could take a $5 billion lick, and you sell 12. You go from 5 to 12. I don't think you could keep a company selling over $10 billion in one quarter at a $17 billion market cap when they're profitable, growing rapidly. The sector they're in is the hottest, the bee's knees, the cat's pajamas. It's where it's at. 2 turntables and a microphone, motherfucker. You guys like Beck? I like some Beck. Truck driving neighbors downstairs. Come on, motherfucker. Just the shit kicking, whiskey drinking, truck driving neighbors downstairs. Let me get some water here. Let's see. SMCI remains weak because investors don't doubt demand. They doubt trust, transparency. That's for sure. You're 100% right on that one, Baba Louie. Baba Louie, Baba Booey. An Earl and an OAB, which makes you an earlobe. Lex Coach, that's kind of what I mean. It's been a prolonged build for SOFI, but it stagnates a lot and then remains at support levels. I mean, for sure. Ray trace, support, consolidate, all that fun stuff. But for me, coming into the last ER, 3150, popping to 3250, and then coming back down all the way like 2350, doesn't look like there's any sellers below 25. It looks like there's very few organic sellers below 26. Okay, I mean, I don't have a problem. Maybe it moves along these levels between 25 and 27. Maybe it starts to consolidate between 27 and 30. But even if they could drive it down to 20, like the Bald Profits, Fantasyland, Buttless Chaps, SoFi at 20 Fantasy works out, whether it works out or it doesn't, I don't think the stock can consolidate and make a market at 20 where these, tiny wing shorts are going to be able to cover, where you're going to be able to buy. I mean, there were plenty of buyers above 30 on the back of that ER. Like, I don't know why SoFi's growth is worth so little. If you look at a public company growing at this rate, it's extremely rare. And I know we've been spoiled to see, okay, Hood's growing faster, some other companies are growing faster, and that's true. But are they as consistent? Are they as recession-proof? Are they as cycle-proof? Are they as diversified? Are they as protected? Are they as insulated? Do they hedge as well? Is their long-term plan as sound? Is it actually going to work? Because if your plan is, crypto and free trading and gold cards and fancy shoes, or your plan is payday loans and financing groceries and, rehabbing used cars in Houston, or your plan is, you're making solid state batteries, or say your plan is we're going to find a cure for cancer by manipulating genetics. These are all very, very risky, pie in the sky types of scenarios. That's why I use the analogy with SoFi. I wasn't even talking about SoFi, but one of you guys brought it up in the comments. Sweet Lou Albano, I believe, or Baba Louie, Baba Booey. I got Lex Coach. I got Sweet Lou Albano. I got Brian McLaughlin. He died February. He was 97. Wow. Wow. Rest in peace, Judge Walkman. I really loved that show when I was a kid. I was fascinated by like mock trial and law and stuff. So I was like, oh, The litigants have agreed to have their dispute settled here in our forum, the People's Court. You realize, like, nobody's actually losing. Of course they're willing to go if you're the defendant, because if you lose, you don't have to pay. So even if Wapner throws the book at you, you're walking away with probably a scale pay date from fucking the production company. Rusty Burrell, accidental discharge, might shoot you in the butt. But hey, it's a small price to pay for not having to pay your landlord for all the damage you did. Yeah, my iguana really trashed the place, but I don't feel it's my responsibility because it's a service iguana. It's an emotional support iguana. Just ate all your drywall. Oh, fuck me. Anyway, I always remember wondering how those could possibly be saved. Dude, I mean, I don't know. I never killed anybody with a lawn dart, but I don't see how some of the stuff they let us do, man. Riding around the back of like a pickup truck at a high rate of speed. Get in an accident, you're all fucking dead. But, you know, in the 80s, you could just do stuff like that. Now they'd probably put you in jail. Yeah, burning the midnight oil, which is burning a few calories. Know what I mean, Billy Jack? Know what I mean? Know what I mean? Let's say you probably should be out exercising. Douglas Smith averaged 670. Douglas Smith, my resident statistician. No, that last one was Brian. Lawn darts averaged 670 annual injuries in under 15-year-olds via. Wow. 670 emergency rooms for one toy. Just an absolute medieval weapon. Hey, we're going to sell kids a high-powered crossbow. Why don't we just sell them a 12-gauge shotgun, throw in some free shells? Double aught, pack a wallop. I learned most of what I know from Llewellyn Moss. I ask the questions. If I get answers I find reasonable. That border guard. You jacking me, boy? He's like, no, sir. You in service? Yes, sir. No, 2 tours. Let's see. I can't really see, guys, because I'm old. It sucks. Nicholas Kurdistan 8616. Nicole. Are you Nicole Asri card? Are you Nick Olesky card? Olestra? Olesteline? What the fuck? When does Q4 earnings come out for SOFI? Q4 earnings generally about a month after the quarter ends. So some companies could be 5 weeks. Some on the outside, not usually 6 weeks, but some companies it starts like basically earnings season. I think starts like 3 weeks after the quarter, and you know those next 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, are just packed with earnings. So SOFI I think is just under a month from earnings. It was last time. I think they have already announced. SMCI will probably push back as far as humanly possible because they're shady as fuck. Need as much time as possible for the Wigger to cook the books, along with BDO. BDO used to be super shady. I know they're chill now because I need them. They were at least willing to take us on. They wouldn't even sign off. They're like, we don't trust this shit either, but we need the fucking money. So fuck you guys. Let's see. Danny is right. Full stop. Danny is right. SoFi is a little piggy that built the brick. Yep. I completely agree with you, Douglas. You shouldn't give a redneck a lawn dart. Yeah. Yeah, not if you got a grudge, a blood feud, Montagues, Capulets. Like that feud from Andy Griffith. Let's see. Hatfields and McCoys. I'm assuming January 30th. That would be my assumption as well. January 6th. 26th. I think SoFi already announced it. So January 26th. Very aggressive. I feel like it's going to be, the sooner they want it out, the better it's going to be. But like I said, if they drop it down to, low 20s before earnings, the stock could go up like 20%. It would still be below these levels. So what really matters is where the stock goes, ultimately, not the actual pop it gets out of earnings, because they manipulate the price pre-earnings, and even if earnings is really good, they step on it after. It doesn't necessarily mean anything. Fundamentals take time to sort of, I guess supersede or overrule the, narratives, the traders, the institutions that are playing games with the stock in terms of like options and not in terms of like options, but basically, selling you idiots options, that sort of thing. Let's see. Bailu, profit scale, momentum, SoFi next breakout. I completely agree with you. I think this stock can easily go to 50 next year. I think these institutions are going to run it up. I think they already own about 60% of it. I think probably within the next couple of quarters, they'll own 75% of the company, 70 plus. So if institutions just kick up from 60 to 70, insider ownership remains approximately the same at 15. That'll put the total to 85%. That'll allow them to move the price up, without a tremendous amount of retail profit, which they hate. They only want you to lose money because that's how they make money. It's a zero-sum game. That's how Wall Street makes money, is they take your money, basically. And they're not taking money from each other. I mean, they are, but ultimately it all comes out of your pockets. Fees, it's losses, it's selling the dip and smelling the rip, all that fun stuff. Somebody, what else was I going to take a look at? Yeah, CRISPR. CRISPR, again, same deal. If you look at this level it's at, you don't even have to draw another line because, okay, this line is so critical. I mean, it hiccuped here, but if it came off of this pump to whatever this was, 90, it caught support right here at 52. 1 test, 2 tests, 3 tests, 4 tests, broke down below. Then it became resistance. 1, 2, broke through briefly, but, retraced back quickly. So that's 3, 4, 5 tests here, all the way down to 30 last April, or this past April, excuse me. And then broke through to the top side. So you see these periods where the stock trades, it traded above this line from 11.7 to, this was about, I guess, 9 months above the line. Then it traded from 8.24 to, this was 11 months below the line. So it's only been above the line now for, 5 months. So, and if you look at now, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, consolidation, 5. And this will be the 6th time it's come off this line in only 5 months, or hit this line. Is it realistic to me that's going to break down below? Volume has become a little bit weak, but I think their readout was very, very strong. Fundamentals are strong. Cash position is strong. Caskevi rollout, been a little bit iffy. But Veritex thinks that's going to accelerate, at least based upon their comments on earnings. Veritex was a nice play. I mean, they dropped from like 500 all the way down to like 380, and I said, oh, that's going to recover quickly. I actually bought more. I not only own CRISPR, I also own Veritex, and recovered quickly. I think now it went back up to like 465 because they make a lot of money. And I know they have, few drugs, and it's, consolidated around one point and all that stuff, and they have risks, but I think that's why they're very, very likely to try to make further partnerships with CRISPR, try to buy CRISPR. I don't think they can afford them, frankly, because I think CRISPR is probably going to want, 3 times at least the current share price. I don't think the current share price reflects the value of the company. I think it reflects market makers manipulating or controlling, whatever you want to call it, the price of the stock. And I don't think that's some crazy, this is really, this is really for no reason in this move. I mean, look at the beautiful line here it makes from 80 down to, 48. I mean, so it sheds, I don't know, 4%, 40% of its value in just less than 2 months, month and a half. So this is all this false volatility, all this fear. It creates panic. It creates this feeling within retail where you say, "Oh my God, it dropped so much. It's going to zero. I just have to sell. I just have to preserve some capital. I may as well sell now at a 40% loss that I've taken in just 2 months, rather than actually take a deep breath, think, look at the chart, see that it's tested this level now for the 6th and 7th time, and as that fat guy on YouTube says, who's really kind of an idiot." But he's funny occasionally, so I watch, but, nobody else watches because he sucks. But anyway, so if it's bouncing it off that same low 6 and 7 times, is it bouncing it off that low because market makers, being the, intelligent, good-looking folks that they are, is it bouncing it off the same low over and over because they want to sell at the low, or because they want you to sell at the low and they're accumulating at the low? I mean, think about it. Just think about it logically. It's a war of attrition, but psychologically, it doesn't even make sense. Why would you want to sell at the 5th, 4th, 5th, and 6th test of the same low? How does that indicate to you that the stock is going to go lower? How does that indicate to you that sellers aren't exhausted above that level? It doesn't make any sense. Look for stocks that are either basing or coming off, big moves to the downside, and then you see they're not a falling knife because they stopped, they even recovered a bit. They're consolidating. Like Neo, you see that if you look at it, you think, okay, the world's ending. It just dropped from 8 to 5. But then you look at it, you see the price is being fixed at 5 because they want people to sell at 5, not because it's going back down to 4 or 3. Why would their behavior, why would their, price fixing, tiny weighing escapades indicate that they want you to sell there and that they're buying there, and the fund sentiment score in Neo's 97? Doesn't get any higher. It's one of the hottest stocks in the whole world that funds are accumulating while they're telling you, oh, you got to get out. It's a piece of garbage. With all due respect to Rune. Oh, fuck me. Projected to be February 5. Okay, that I know they're usually a little bit out there. They're trying to get things straight. Buying more of QNDS in the morning. Have 9K shares. Okay, or ONDS. I'm sorry. ONDS want more. Interesting. Have to take a look at that one. I was going to just take a brief look at the BitMiner. Obviously, this thing has been making basically lower highs since this little Poppy Chulo in August that moved up off of the base here. But if you look at it, I mean, honestly, it hasn't really broken down much below these lows. I mean, a little bit, but it hasn't broken down at all below this low, that it made down at 25 here in November. So I don't know. Again, I see a stock that's being walked down, and I see a fear of, massive dilution, and I see, this Tevis and Tanner. I was covered this in depth, talking about how the compensation is tied not to, metrics in terms of the share price, but in terms of just like the overall, market cap of the company or the overall numbers of Ethereum they own. It's not, honestly, there's no brilliance in management of, hey, we're going to, sell shares or borrow money and print money and buy Ethereums on the dip. And they're also questioning, why aren't they buying more aggressively if they honestly believe this is the low? I mean, because they have $1 billion in cash they could deploy and just buy a bunch of Ethereum. Why wouldn't they buy another, 10 million Ethereum every, not 10 million, I'm obviously completely off, but why don't they buy, 10 million Ethereum for, what would that be, times 30, $300 million, at these lows? If they have $1 billion cash, why don't they deploy at least half of it? I mean, are they using that, Michael Saylor micro strategy, micro weighing deal where you have to have the treasury, not just the treasury of what you're actually holding, but cash treasury in case things get lean. You can afford to make your payouts. You can afford to keep the old pyramid scheme functioning. I don't know. So anyway, I don't know what's going to go on with this one. I mean, kind of the play, I think there's value to Ethereum. I think one of the questions is fair to ask is, should I buy, BitMiner versus ETH? Just buy the actual Ethereum and hold it yourself. You wouldn't be so much subject to the dilution, to management, printing shares, but you're also not getting the benefits of their staking and their, certain things they're deploying. So I don't know. I'm no crypto expert, I know, but I have been buying Bitcoin. Should you just buy Bitcoin? Should you just buy ETH? Should you even mess with this? I don't trust this Tom Lee. I don't know. I think it was Tevis's video I was watching where it said, if he reaches certain milestones soon, he's going to get like $16 million in shares. Or I don't know if it's shares or cash. I hope it's shares. At least those would align with our interests, but it depends how long do they have to hold the shares. Can they dump the shares back on the open market? The old Jeremy Rochelle play. Hey, Jeremy, you gonna hold these shares? Fuck you. Why would I hold this piece of shit? Anyway, guys, I don't think you're going to get hurt too badly from here, but the only way, I don't think you're going to get hurt by Ethereum. I think you're going to get hurt possibly by management. And I just don't trust any of these guys with these compensation plans that aren't, directly aligned with shareholders. I mean, even with a company like SOFI where there's a lot of stock-based compensation, a lot of vampire SPAC shares, I mean, at least most of the officers and stuff are not just dumping everything. I think most of the people who work there genuinely believe in the company. But see your stock held down at 4 and 5 and then 7 and 8, and all of a sudden it goes up to 30, mid 20s. I mean, if my wealth was concentrated in one particular name where I worked, I would sell it too. Not all of it, but certainly some of it. So I wasn't going to get absolutely wrecked if old Noto, shit the bed or whatever. So I don't know what to do with that one. In terms of Bitcoin, I think this is actually, this is what I was talking about with compression, consolidation, accumulation. You see, kind of flipping around this level from the high to the low over the short term. Obviously, this is just kind of last month and a half. I believe it's making like a little monkey razor wedge. Brett Favre would never run that play. I believe you said it was racist. Are you fucking serious? I hope that was a joke, but I heard that. But anyway, so looking a little bit, longer term or a lot longer term, I'm going to delete this little wedge thing I just made because it's not helpful to look at this illustration. But, shorter term, I think this is consolidating, obviously, from this point where I had this huge move down. But this has been down here now for, a month and a half. I think there's been a bit of a shift. Of course, they're talking about the OGs selling out. They got scared off. I think this is, you see the shift coming where institutions are having their clients and they're holding more, and these stable coins, these blockchain, it's all, I think everybody knows this is the wave of the future. And if you look at this, realistically, this stock, or not a stock, but Bitcoin came down from, are you going to have this type of move again where it went from 67 all the way down to 16? I really don't think so. I think this is it. I mean, you're really making higher highs on a long-term trend. You're here at 70, then you're here at 100, then you're here at 118, then you're here at 123, and you're honestly making higher lows as well. I mean, you can see this step up in these levels from 28 to 41, then your lows here 53, your lows here, coming down 75, your lows here, it came all the way back to 80 once, but realistically your lows are more, in this sort of 84 range. So if you actually look at what Bitcoin has done, I mean, it's coming off, just over a year, coming off 53. I just don't think it's doom and gloom for Bitcoin. It's all over. It's decoupled from gold. You should just buy metals. I would personally much, much rather buy Bitcoin under 90,000 than gold at 4,400. That's me. Now, I'm not saying, I know people are going to go, oh, the use case for Bitcoin is, over. Well, I'm looking at scarcity. I'm looking at market perception. That's what really matters. They're minting a new millionaire every half a second. If people lose faith in, fiat currencies or whatever, central governments, central banks, debt, companies' ability to repay said debt, companies' solvency, government solvency, lose faith in government bonds, corporate bonds, all this stuff. I mean, I think crypto is going to take on an outsized level of importance, and I think Bitcoin is the gold standard that people are going to want to own. I think an unstable world puts upward price pressure on these because it gives you an alternative, an alternative store of value that has to be physical, is not vulnerable, and it's not dependent on one particular government. It's decentralized. Now, that's why I worry about a play like BitMiner, because if you're doing crypto, why are you in crypto? Are you in crypto because you want some, corporate officers basically, lining their own pockets with massive amounts of wealth based on, dilution that you're paying for? I mean, and if there is some magic to this 5% where they're going to provide this tremendous amount of value for you, maybe you do. But it's a question that for most of us is very, very difficult to know the answer, because you don't know they're authorizing these shares. You have no idea how many of those shares they're going to actually issue, at what terms, at what price, in terms of what deals. Are they thinking about, acquiring someone? Are they thinking about spinning off something new? You just don't know what their plans are. And they haven't given us, much clarity other than, Tom Lee putting out some video, vote for us, vote for us. Or fucking Pedro at a pep rally. Dance, Napoleon. Tom Lee comes out and gives me a Napoleon, I was going to say Napoleon Kaufman, former Raider, Napoleon Dynamite. I think Napoleon Kaufman could bench like 550 and he weighed like 180 pounds or something. Something fucking ridiculous. Pretty much like my measurements. I'm about 6'4", 210. Stupid. Talk more about SLS Life Sciences. Are you the one that was telling me to talk about that? Stop trying to distract me. You guys know I have the attention span of a gnat. All right, I'll talk some more about it because I'm very susceptible to messaging. So you got me. Now, as soon as I finish with Bitcoin, I'll move over to SLS. Okay, are you happy? So I think this uptrend is just unmistakably, intact. Now, is it kind of running into some resistance here? Did the stock? I think the stock is basically being. If you see it kind of check 100 here, you notice that it breaks through 100 and then it checks back under 100 repeatedly. This time it broke through 100, checked, and 100 wanted to become support right there. For the first time with Bitcoin right here in June, 100 wanted to become support. And Euphoria was like, okay, off to that. Nope. So I think there's still a hell of a lot of psychological resistance at Bitcoin 100,000. But it will break down. I mean, the scarcity of this asset, there's going to be, at max Bitcoin production. All these other coins, they're just, that scarcity element is not there. And I think that's the most critical element to the value of something that is just more of a POG or a token. It's not like, it's not like it has some internal utility outside of like a medium, like an Ethereum. I'm sure it does, and people are correct me, but realistically, this play is kind of, it's more just like market sentiment moving it. And I usually don't invest in it, but Bitcoin is the exception. I'm not, in all these other sort of altcoins, these smaller ones, but I think Bitcoin is for real. It's here to stay, and I think it'll move up off this level now. I've been wrong before. So, SLS, I wanted to check, the short, because whoever was mentioning that stock, was mentioning that it had a pretty big short on it. So basically, like, the management just commented on the P3. Basically, they're waiting for 80 events, like deaths. Basically, when people enter your study, a certain amount have to actually pass away, so you can measure like how long does this arm, the placebo arm versus the treated arm, what's the difference? That's how you analyze the data. So they're looking for 80 events, but only 72 people had died so far, and it was taking, I guess, considerably longer than they thought. And the speculation is, if it takes a lot longer for people to pass away, then the drug is actually working a lot better than we expected. Now, that's caused the stock to basically go crazy the last 3 days, and it's been obviously, moving up off of $1.30. The stock was just $1.36 this month, so it's all pretty much like 3x. Within this month, and it went up a bit over 4 just the other day. But anyway, yeah, we were going to look at the short interest. Give me time. 36.42. So talking, it said 36 there, 28 here. I'm sure it's probably somewhere in the middle, 30% short interest. Shares on loan, just 20% or so higher. So it doesn't look like they necessarily want to attack the stock a lot from here, but hard to say. This thing came down. It's really been sort of, this was came down to 250. So it's really been kind of, down in the dumps here, consolidating at this low base after this middle finger pump since May of 2022, came all the way down, I think, to about, 50 cents or so, 55, 50 cents, back in early 2024. And then it's been sort of trading sideways. It sort of looks like it entered just a slight uptrend here. If you guys, use your imagination, you can see it's pretty tightly controlled. I don't know. This is an interesting play. I don't know a ton about it, but they have phase 3, obviously, that I just talked about, and so that data could come at any point. Now, it's been obviously you don't really like to buy a run like that. That's just 3x in a month because usually they come crashing back down. But the exception to that is if the phase 3 data is even better than anyone was expecting and it looks like this drug is going to get FDA approval and be a home run, you could see these market caps, go pretty crazy, pretty quick. So talking about SLS, let's see, I got some stuff I was messing around with here on AI. So they're in a phase 3 Regal. Trial updates. Trial needs 80 events. I was talking about this. Overall survival. The slower event count may imply patients are living longer. It's up 132%. This is a little bit old data here. But how strong is the phase 3 setup? It seems very, very strong. IDMC already recommended trial continue unchanged. That's a good sign. CEO explicitly said every passing month may increase the probability of a successful study. Analysts remain a buy and see upside potential. The company is blinded. They don't know. Bearish risks. RSI, price to book is high. I wouldn't really worry about this. Can it keep going up? Yes. If phase 3 is successful, what's going to happen? Overall survival readout in AML, a high mortality cancer, could be transformational. This is a binary catalyst, which those are kind of the ones you want on penny stocks because those are the ones that can move things really, really high, really, really fast. If you're playing options, you could almost get rich in one day. The run-up's already priced in the optimism, so the stock is up 200% a month. I was just talking about it's more like 300%. Valuation is stretch versus peers. That's kind of a it's kind of a non sequitur because it doesn't really have any peers doing exactly. I guess it is, but these valuations don't really work like that. Traders are clearly front loading the phase 3 readout. If phase 3 fails, the stock will drop 70 to 90% overnight. This is standard for late stage oncology biotechs. What is dilution likely? Yes, they already exercised warrants 31 million, may need more cash. The bottom line is, do I like to chase these runs? No, but if you really believe this phase 3 is going to be successful, they tend to go anywhere from 3x to 10x pre-readout levels once they get the good phase 3. Higher indications, mortality versus unmet need. AML qualifies. There is unmet need. There is high mortality. Examples from past cycles: IMMU, 6x, PBYI, 8x, KPTI, 4x, Excel, 10x over its cycle. AML is a high-value oncology market. GPS would be first in its class WT1 immunotherapy if successful. So, trading high threes, it's basically saying base case. 3x, its OS endpoint, hits its OS endpoint, would be 10 to 12 per share. BullX would be 5x. The data is clean. Survival benefit is strong. FDA path looks smooth. That'd be $15 to $18 per share. It's kind of average. I was working with, Gemini, Copilot. I work with all the AIs. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. But anyway, extreme bull case, 8 to 10x. Data is exceptional, and the market sees blockbuster potential. We could be at $25 to $35 per share. Probably the realistic upper range for a micro-cap oncology company with successful phase 3. The bottom line, yes, stock could go to 10, stock could go to 20, stock could also go quickly to 0. So, you got to just, pick your spots, be aware, and, don't go too crazy with this thing. But if you wanted to chase it at 4, chase it at 4, Pick and a poke. Take a shot. I don't know. I don't know enough about the company to recommend it, but a lot of you guys are talking about it, so I'm looking at it. Wish I'd have bought before the run, of course. Famous last words. Am I right? IOVA looking back up a little bit in the pre-market. This thing's been as fixed can be. They really don't want this thing to pop through 3. Pistol pop on Poppy Street. Yeah, I'm out of energy, guys. This show's been going on forever. Oh my god. I thought I'd been talking for about 35 minutes. Been talking for an hour and a half. God, I'm a big fat asshole. Anyway. I guess that's about all I've got. I don't know what the hell else I would say. Yeah, SLS, interesting play. Tomorrow's going to be an interesting day. It could be a complete head fake. I don't know how much the market makers trust the economic data we're seeing. I don't know how much we should trust it. I just know price fixing great companies, shorting great companies. It's a recipe for disaster for them as long as you're willing to stay the course. If they can get you out through fear and through narratives, wait for the ER. If the ER is bad, okay, question your investment. But don't just listen to some nonsense and let fear get the best of you. You've already got a tiny wang, okay? You don't need fear running your life. You son of a bitch. Anyway, guys, I really, really appreciate it. Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. I talked more about SLS for you. Hatcha, yeah. Itchy, yeah. Guys, thank you so much for watching. It's Un Poco Mas, the show where we give you just a little bit more. Happy 2026. Hope everyone had a great one, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace! I'm out. 2026, bitches. You're the fat man.